We all have an identity. This is just how we view ourselves. And this identity obviously determines the way we think of ourselves and the kind of person that we are. But it also affects the actions we take and therefore the results that we get. So in this video, you're going to learn how you can change that identity you have of yourself, which is obviously going to make you feel more proud of who you are, but it's also going to allow you to take consistent action towards your goals, all without too much motivation or willpower. Shakespeare says all of the world is a stage, and all of the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. What he's saying is that the world is all a stage, and we're all simply characters. How then is this identity created, and how can we shift our identities in a way that benefits us? Just imagine it to be like a set of scales. Scales about whether you're a procrastinator, scales about how good you are with the opposite sex, or even just scales about how good you are at catching. And every experience we have gives us just a little bit more proof that we either are something or we aren't something. If I throwed you a pair of keys right now, are you likely to catch them? In the past, if you've caught a lot of keys, then you've got good experiences about the fact that you can catch keys. But what's crazy is that it's not just these experiences that stack the scales of your identity. It's also the thoughts that you have. You see, if you think back to a hard time that you went through, maybe you were broken up with or something embarrassing happened, chances are you're going to feel the exact same emotions that you had when you were going through that bad event. And because of all of the data that our eyes, our ears, and our nose, and all of our other senses pick up, it's all processed through the brain. Our brain has a very hard time distinguishing between imagination and reality. So the more thoughts you have about a certain thing, it's stacking the scales of your identity, either positively or negatively. In society, we've got hundreds of phrases like don't change and stick to your roots, and people are constantly trying to find themselves, and all of this implies that we're one fixed character and that we just simply can't change. Because of this, whenever we're trying to improve ourselves, whether that's going to the gym or quitting your job or just talking to new people, our brain always runs that action through the filter of, is this who I am in your fixed character? And because, as we know, your identity is just built up on the past, it heavily resists change. Because if your identity is built up on the past, any change you try to make is obviously outside of that identity. Therefore, if you're trying to improve yourself and you're trying to make change, your brain hates this and it's constantly trying to resist this. However, if we can flip this and we learn how to change your identity, you're able to effortlessly do good things, and your brain's going to actually push you towards doing those good things instead of self-sabotaging you. So, how do we change our identity? Well, there's 3 different ways. First of all, you can provide your brain with more evidence about the identity that you want to change into. If you want to become less afraid of talking to random people, if you can get yourself to do that again and again and again, eventually your brain will be so overridden with evidence that people aren't so bad that you'll stop being so scared of doing it. Second of all, you can change the story that you tell about your past. As we know, no external events are given meaning. It is our perception of those events that give them meaning. So if there are certain events in your past that are causing you to have a negative identity over yourself, you can go back, think about that experience, and literally write down a new story that you can tell yourself about that event. Or third of all, you can use your imagination. As we know, the brain struggles to differentiate between real evidence and thoughts in your head. The Stoic philosophers would, at the beginning of their day, imagine what their day is going to be like as they go on. And this does 2 different things. First of all, if negative events happen, you will have prepared yourself mentally for them to happen. But more importantly, you're providing yourself evidence that you are the kind of person you want to become. If you imagine yourself responding in a positive way, you're providing your brain with proof that you are that kind of person. Use the self-awareness hack that we talked about in the last video to identify parts of you that you do want to improve.